So we're back with what should be the final part. Yeah. One of the oldest forms of magic, and certainly the most widely practiced, divination is the attempt to gain insight into questions or situations, discover hidden knowledge, or foresee future events. Typically by interpretation of omens or by the aid of supernatural powers. Many forces seek to make a distinction between divination and fortune telling, in principle, if not in practice. It can be argued that they are nearly identical in scope. The difference is that the term divination is used for predictions considered part of a religious ritual, invoking deities or spirits. A fortune telling implies a less serious, informal, everyday setting where a belief in the occult workings behind the prediction carries less importance than the concept of empowering an individual to know their options. Whether one is consulting an oracle through whom a certain god or goddess is thought to speak, or visiting a local tarot reader who instinctively intuits the meaning of the cards laid out before them, aren't both prophets, externally or internally tapping into the divine? After the word, divination means to be divinely inspired. For the purposes of this chapter, this is how I've chosen to interpret and align these divergent opinions. I've been obsessed with predicting the future for as long as humankind has walked the earth. There's archaeological evidence, writes Paul O'Brien, that a need to know and deep spiritual seeking are universal human traits. But some form of divination has been used since the earliest times to support this quest. Many cultures have looked upwards to the heavens not only for purposes of telling time and understanding the seasons, but also for portents and predictions, or to decipher occurrences owing to divine action. Astrology was one of the first sophisticated forms of divination, dating back to ancient Mesopotamian times, and we still consult our horoscopes today. Other cultures have looked inward, such as the Australian Aborigines with their dream time, or have used entheogenic plants for vision quests. Across the globe throughout history, every culture has tried to make sense of their world through a variety of methods designed to tap into the unknown and unseen in order to gain prophetic insight and learn what awaits them. Particular divination methods vary by culture and religion. The Egyptians, Druids, and Hebrews used scrying, or the practice of gazing into a reflective surface, in the hope of detecting significant messages or visions. Romans practiced augury, interpreting the flight of birds, and haruspicy, inspecting the entrails of sacrificed animals, while the Greeks had oracles who spoke for the gods. Biblical prophets used various forms of divination in reading the future in the Hebrew Old Testament. Joseph's household manager refers to a silver drinking cup, in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby indeed he divineth. In the New Testament, the Magi read the signs between the heavens to find the grain, sand, and seeds were tossed into fields in the Middle Ages to glean the patterns in which they fell in order to divine the year's crops. Taoists read patterns on tortoise shells, which evolved into the hexagrams of the I Ching. In another ancient divinatory practice still, used today is Feng Shui, which concerns spatial arrangement and orientation in relation to the flow of energy. African tribes used bones in divination rituals for hundreds of thousands of years. Germanic tribes consulted the runestones. The emblems and iconography of divinatory practices, the glint of the crystal ball or black scrying mirror, the primal symbolism of the runes, the intriguing archetypes of the tarot, conjure evocative associations for artists, even today when our need for such things is less a superstitious mediation of the future than a contemporary desire to quell uncertainty. There is much uncertainty in the world today. The oracular exemplifications associated with divination are numerous and varied, contribute a rich source of inspiration for artists interested in creating prophetic portraits, siblings, sculptures, or moments of divine insight captured on canvas. Whether we look to pre-Raphaelite painter John William Waterhouse's somewhat straightforward work, The Crystal Ball, wherein a classically beautiful woman contemplates her destiny with the help of the crystal ball, or Leonora Carrington's elusive Casting the Runes, in which two hooded female figures seem to engage in an ancient ritual, perhaps to define the future of the golden creature in their care, or re-engage with surrealist artist Salvador Dali's kitschy enchantment of a tarot deck. The magic and promise of divinatory practices and of learning what fate has in store for us remain, even in our modern era, too much of a temptation to resist. John William Waterhouse paints a young woman peering into a crystal ball, giving no hint as to what she might be seeing or thinking. It is perhaps up to the viewer to imagine what fate has in store for her. Crystal balls such as one depicted here have been used by numerous cultures for scrying, the practice of gazing into a translucent surface with the intention of seeing images that can be then interpreted at the scryer's discretion. Jean-Georges Vibert, or Jean Georges Vibert, created the fortune teller in the style of academic art, influenced by the standards of the French style of true-to-life but high-minded realist painting and sculpture. There is a strong emphasis on the intellectual element combined with a fixed set of aesthetics. Surrealism meets symbolism in Dali's tarot deck, in which Dali poses as the magician and his wife Gala becomes the empress, was initially undertaken by Dali for the film Live and Let Die. Did not appear in the movie. The deck was eventually completed in 1984. It's kind of funny. When I was at the Dali Museum, I did see they were selling a tarot deck, but I was on the fence about it. It was very pricey, but B, I didn't think it was something he'd actually created. I just thought, they were using his art in a deck. Because I think I've seen ones like those before. So I'm kind of disappointed I didn't pick that up. Pamela Colman Smith was a British artist, illustrator, writer, and occultist. In 1909, her involvement with the Order of the Golden Dawn led to a commission from A.E. White to create a tarot deck. She was, he wrote, a most imaginative and abnormally psychic artist. As universal and beloved as the images on the cards have become, Coleman Smith received little recognition, and outrageously, until recent years, her name was left off most editions of the deck. Yeah, so I've always heard of it as like the white deck. So that is unfortunate. Ginna Litherhand's layered technique of working gives way to revelatory results, with worlds often emerging out of nowhere. In tea leaf reading, two women are engaging in a speculative bit of tasseography, a divination method that interprets patterns in tea leaves, while some animal companions look on supportively. Claudio Bravo was a celebrated Chilean painter noted for his hyperrealist still lifes and figurist painting. Equally representational of a uniquely Chilean convention as it is of art historical reference, Bravo's work was influenced by Baroque and Surrealist styles. Despite receiving no formal training, he would go on to achieve international recognition. In The Fortune Teller, a robed figure has their back to the viewer, ostensibly reading the cards for the individual facing us. It's interesting that we can see neither the reader's face nor the details of the cards. Perhaps a hooded stranger is the one receiving the reading. Mysteries abound in what would, at first glance, appear to be a straightforward work of art. Camillo Miola was an Italian painter who often painting. There did seem to be quite a few typos in this one, which I don't think we noticed any in Darkness. Often painted exotic Neo-Pompeian and Orientalist subjects. In the oracle, we see the Pythia, a virgin from the local village selected in ceremonies that established her as the god Apollo's choice, sitting atop the sacred tripod as the Delphic oracle. The ancient Greeks considered the Delphic oracle the final authority on almost any matter, regardless of the details. Francis Broomfield creates work that's been described as sophisticated naive, and whose imaginative art is tinged with mystery, humor, and eccentricity. This whimsical painting brims with bold colors and a jaunty fellow whose beckoning gaze, an entire outfit really, hints at unlimited possibilities just within reach. Jean-Dominique Antoine Metzinger was a French painter, theorist, writer, and prominent member of the French avant-garde. Metzinger was best known for Cubist paintings which combined divisionist techniques which modeled forms at multiple angles. A consequential theorist, Metzinger passionately argued against traditional approaches in art and the need for portraying multiple perspectives to better understand reality and time in a static picture. In The Fortune Teller, we await our fate under a frank and faceted gaze as destiny is doled out on the table in the form of playing cards. The London-born painter Theodor von Holst is said to occupy a unique position in the history of British Romantic art. Between his eccentric master, Henri Fuseli, and his most important admirer, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, von Holst's painting The Wish is a moodily and exquisite piece depicting a fortune-teller as femme fatale. It was inspiration for Rossetti's poem The Card Dealer. I do hope this one's even showing up. It looks very dark, at least to me. Paul Benny is a British artist born London, England. In his works, Benny explores the personal and mystical themes that have occupied him throughout his career, engaging with a wide range of media. His widely exhibited dark, highly personal, and symbolic paintings explore the shadowlands of the soul, examples which have been acquired by the Met. Leonora Carrington settled in Mexico in 1943, joining a group of fellow surrealist emigres informed by a broad spectrum of inspiration ranging from ancient history and Celtic mythology to Mexican healing traditions. Her otherworldly paintings are often observed to have elusive meanings. In casting the runes, two hooded female figures seem to engage in an ancient ritual involving runes, perhaps to divine the future of the golden bird-like creature in their care. Konstantin Yegorovich Makovsky was an influential Russian painter, affiliated with the Perdivinsky, a cooperative of Russian realist artists. In Christmastide divination, we are privy to a moonlit holiday scene of Russian folk divination during Eastern Orthodox Christmastide. In a rural log home, women are gathered for a bout of electromancy, a form of divination in which the diviner observes a bird pecking at grain that the diviner has scattered upon the ground. In this deceptive illustration from Jacques Grasset de Saint-Sauveur, 1796, on historical and picturesque ancient Rome and Roman people, we can observe the practice of haruspicy, in which the bowels of an animal sacrifice were inspected as a form of divination. William Sidney Mount was an American painter best known for his genre paintings. Although he painted landscapes and portraits, in this light-hearted scene of tasseomancy, an older woman gazes bemusedly into a dainty teacup while the younger struggles with that distinctive, "Please tell me, no, I don't want to know," look upon her face. In the Western occult tradition, there is a distinction between ceremonial magic, or high magic, which seeks to bring about change through elaborate and complex ceremony and rituals, and often involves the invoking and control of spirits and other entities, and natural magic, which concerns itself with nature and natural forces directly, such as astrology and alchemy. According to Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages, those who practiced ceremonial magic did so largely with the hope of securing from the invisible worlds either rare knowledge or supernatural power, and what learned scholar could resist the heady allure of power? A term coined in relation to 16th century Renaissance magic, ceremonial magic referred to practices described in various medieval and Renaissance grimoires. A 1569 translation of Henrik Cornelius Agrippa's De Incertitudine et Vanitae Sanitarium refers to the parts of ceremonial magic be geoshi and theurgy. This mention was first recorded use of the term ceremonial magic, although the practice had existed for at least a century or two before, and in collections such as that of Johannes Hartlieb, a physician of late medieval Bavaria, had written of the 7 arts magicae. In 1456, these 7 prohibited disciplines included practices ranging from palm reading to black magic. Various European occultists studied and practiced many of the rituals and ceremonies still being used today. Late 18th century Englishman Francis Barrett studied metaphysics, the Kabbalah, and natural occult philosophy and alchemy. His work, The Magus, is a compendium of esoteric knowledge and ceremonial magic that was heavily influenced by Agrippa's writings. It remains a rare and highly sought-after tome. French occultist Alphonse Louis Constant, perhaps better known by a pseudonym Eliphas Levi, lived in the 1800s and developed an interest in both the Kabbalah and magic. As part of a group of radicals who believed that magic and the occult were essentially a more advanced form of socialism, he wrote a number of works on ceremonial magic, as well as books on spiritualism and the secrets of the occult. Levi's take on magic became a great success, especially after his death. He had a profound impact on the magic of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and later English author and occultist Aleister Crowley. It was to a great extent through this impact that Levi is remembered as one of the key founders of the 20th century revival of magic. The practice of ceremonial magic frequently requires tools made or explicitly consecrated for these uses, and which are necessary for a specific ritual or series of rituals. In Magic, Book 4, Part 2, Aleister Crowley lists representative tools required as a circle outlined on the ground inscribed with the names of God, an altar, a wand, cup, sword, pentacle. On the altar, there should be a vial of oil to represent the practitioner's aspiration. And for consecrating items to their intent, the magician has nearby a scourge, dagger, and chain intended to keep his intentions pure. Additionally, an oil lamp, book of conjurations, and bell are needed, as well as a crown to affirm divinity, a robe to symbolize silence, and a layman to declare the work. Finally, the Book of Conjurations provides a magical record of the rites. These books, of course, were no invention of Crowley's. Books of magic record, or grimoires, are accounts of magical experiments and philosophical musings, giving instructions for invoking angels or demons. Performing divination and gaining magical powers have circulated throughout Europe since the Middle Ages. Popularized again by the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, ceremonial magic as we know it today draws on various grimoires and such schools of philosophical and occult thought as Hermetic Kabbalah and the Enochian system of angelic magic of John Dee and Edward Kelly, who claim that their information, including the revealed Enochian language, was delivered to them directly by various angels. From a visual and artistic perspective, these ceremonies and rituals most certainly conjure a fanciful spectacle, and between the imagery of magicians in their vestments and mystical paraphernalia, the arcane ciphers, symbols, and seals that comprise their spellwork, and the exultant or terrifying host of angelic and demonic visitations they coax forth from places divine or infernal, our notions of the practices and processes involved in traditional ceremonial magic provide no lack of inspiration for the artist's palette. From woodcut art depicting gleefully cavorting demons to shadowy illustrations of raising one's beloved from the dead. From the dizzying array of cryptic symbology copied from the brittle pages of dusty grimoires to the present-day interpretations of ritual and ceremony by the hand of contemporary artists viewing these practices through an abstract lens. Ceremonial magic, with its murky promises of knowledge and power untold, hold the modern imagination no less spellbound than it did in years long past. Paul Christian's study of occult history encompasses subjects ranging from the mysteries of the pyramids and the ancient oracles to magic from the Christian era and the end of the Middle Ages. Summoning the beloved dead is one of many exquisite images by French artist Émile Bayard which illustrate this arcane tone. Faustus, the theologian who became interested in black magic, is depicted in the center of his magic circle. At the moment when his conjurations have summoned the diabolical Mephistopheles. I hope that's showing up well. So that's just some wild texture on the face there. John Coulthart is a British illustrator, graphic designer, and writer who works with various styles and media in his singular chimeric aesthetic and is known for his striking and complex genre-defying artistry. Abzu is the name of a female demon blamed for miscarriages and infant mortality, and was said to be motivated by envy as she herself was infertile. Chicago-based artist Elijah Berger's precisely detailed drawings and large drop cloth paintings sit at intersections of representation and language, imaginary and real worlds, and indoctrinate viewers into a mystical cult of queer sexual energies. Some strong words. I don't feel particularly indoctrinated from this. In his figurative and abstract drawings, paintings, and prints of sigils, Berger utilizes ideas from magic and the occult to address sexuality, subcultural formation, and the history of abstraction. Drawing upon themes that first developed in her poetry, contemporary artist Jeannie Tomanek explores various feminine archetypes from this folktale's fairy tale and her own experiences. She paints to explore the significance of ideas, memories, events, feelings, dreams, and images. In her painting, Warp and Weft, we are presented with a circle of white-robed initiates connected by a circle or symbol of golden glowing thread-like energy. An illustration of magical tools from Eliphas Levi's first treatise on magic. Levi rejected views that magic or religion is inherently irrational, and he posits magic as an esoteric science, suggesting that Hermeticism could be adapted to find the underlying truth behind all magical systems. Levi had a deep impact. It was largely through the occultism inspired by him that Levi is remembered as one of the key founders of the 20th century revival of magic. Marjorie Cameron Parsons Kimmel was a poet and mystical whose work blended 19th century occultism, Kabbalic symbolism, and the hedonistic spiritualist Aleister Crowley. According to Crowley, we have an appointed holy guardian to watch over us. Summoning and consciously connecting with these personal guardians through a process called knowledge and conversation is the essential step in discovering our highest selves. US-based contemporary painter Sebastian Haynes is a self-taught artist who paints primarily in the tarot mythology and fantasy genres. In this scene, we observe mathematician, philosopher, and astronomer John Dee, alongside the slightly less decorated English Renaissance occultist and self-declared spirit medium, Edward Kelly. There's a strange partnership spent engaged in alchemical cahoots and creates richly detailed oil on canvas paintings with subjects draped and dissolved in opulent avant-garde textiles reminiscent of Byzantium or European folk art. Fantastical women engaged in elaborate ritual populate these transportive scenes that unfold out of a familiar place and time. Initiation, along with the other works in Blickel's History of Magic series, tells a story that is part creation myth, part heroic journey, and which references French occultist and writer Eliphas Levi's 1860 book on the historical use of sacred imagery in art. So that does bring us to the end of this. I think I still enjoyed this more than Art of Darkness, although I think especially towards the end I felt it got really bad where a lot of the blurbs on these books or the works featured in like these last few sections, a lot of them seemed where it was just basically copy pasted if she had all mentioned it in the introduction. So that was a little bit disappointing that we didn't get to really learn anything new about the works that she felt were important enough. Her writing, which I had been dreading, having to, because I felt like in Darkness a lot of it was skippable, but you really wouldn't be left with much more than I thought I would. So I suppose I'd hesitantly recommend it if you're interested in the subject matter or the art. And so make a great, well, this isn't strictly a tarot deck, but is the, it's a deck of many things, but one of the things I kept on, it's like, yes, you can use it as a deck if you want. Pure tarot deck, which I've never opened. Beautifully illustrated, half in brilliant color and half in stunning monochrome, forming the colorful overworld and the mysterious underworld. All the cards shimmer, fully illustrated. The book will guide you through the cards, or symbolism, and how to use the deck. It's beautiful. Another day. Skybook serves as an intuitive companion to the deck of many things. You'll also find old and new rules for using the deck of many things. Cards can help guide you or cite your character. I'm curious. I doubt it, but no. Nothing special. beautiful back. It does seem like they are using their own sort of naming conventions for this. So this deck has both a fool and an idiot. That seems a bit unnecessary. Oh, I wasn't really, it is nice. I did end up doing it exactly in half, it looks like. So this is the monochrome version. Well, I suppose we should. Well, I'll just do it sort of like normal today, but I kind of wonder if instead of reversing cards, whether the monochrome a reverse meaning, and that's kind of what I got from the blurb on the back, and we'll just go ahead and take it to mean that. Well, go ahead and do this another time because I kind of really need to, since all the monochrome disappointed. Well, it makes me really want to finally dig that other one out. Because I had assumed this was the same, but it turns out not. The other one is lenticular deck, so I was surprised. I mean, so it's sort of like their whole gimmick for most of their supplemental products that they put out. Well, I don't see any questions, so, well, dumping her meow position. Question two is, question two is, Well, um, with the final of her currently available art books tomorrow, um, unless I can figure out something I want, which I am looking forward to it, despite sort of the mixed feelings, since it is the one I first heard about and interested in of the three of them. So we'll most likely be back with that tomorrow. And that is it for today.